Hello students, I hope you're having a great day. For Inquiry 9.1, we're going to be exploring some factors that can affect our heart rate. So think about things that would affect your heart rate, either in a positive way or a negative way. Some positive things that can affect heart rate is exercise. The more you exercise, the more fit you will be, the better your heart will function. Also, eating healthy, and it sounds funny, but even brushing your teeth can help your heart's health. Maybe not your heart rate, but it can help the overall health of your heart. So eating healthy, exercise, those kinds of things would be factors that would positively affect your heart rate. Some things that would negatively affect your heart rate would be being exposed to chemicals from cigarette smoke or some other type of environmental chemicals or dust and stuff. Having a buildup of plaque in your arteries, and that can come from eating fatty foods that are high in fat and cholesterol, fried foods and stuff like that can really affect that. Now, genetics is also a factor that can affect your heart rate. But in this investigation, we're going to look at how exercise or just moving around or even extra body weight can affect heart rate. And you have a choice here. There are two options for your question and hypothesis. So two options for how you would want to perform this investigation. And whether you are virtual or in class, you can actually perform this investigation because really the only material you need is some way to keep track of your time. So maybe a stopwatch or a timer or a clock with the second hand, your cell phone timer, or something like that you can use as your timer. Now, if you do decide to do the part with the weights, then when we get to the materials, we'll talk about some options for that. All right, so you need to decide which direction you're going to go in. So just choose one of these. Are you going to choose to investigate how does exercise affect heart rate, or are you going to choose to investigate how does carrying weights affect heart rate? And carrying weights is going to simulate extra body weight. So let's take a look at our hypothesis. If you chose how does exercise affect heart rate, then you would fill in this first hypothesis. If you chose how does carrying weights affect heart rate, you would do the second hypothesis. So if you exercise, then your heart rate will blank. So think about, is your heart rate going to increase or decrease when you exercise? Or, on the other hand, if you chose this option, if you carry weights, then your heart rate will blank. Will it increase your heart rate or decrease your heart rate? And we're talking about at the time of the event, which weight would be a long-term effect, because if that you're talking about your body weight, that's always with you. Exercise would increase your heart rate, of course, while you were active. All right, so really the only material you would need is a stopwatch, timer, or clock with a second hand, something to keep track of time with. For the exercise option, you would need to choose an exercise, something simple like jumping jacks or running in place, something that you can do really in one spot. For the weights option, you can get some things around the house to use. For example, if you have two gallon-sized plastic containers, like 2 milk jugs or 2 water jugs, you can fill them up with water and use those as your weights. Together, 2 containers that are gallon size full of water would weigh about 15 pounds. So if you're carrying those around, it would simulate adding 15 more pounds to your body weight. There are a lot of options there. You can use any kind of things, but gallon-sized plastic containers of some kind, like a milk jug, water jug, tea pitcher, something like that would be good for you to use. All right, now, on this particular lab, we have all the procedures already written out for you here, and it has procedures for both options, so you would follow these directions. For example, let's look at our procedures here. You would take your pulse, and now to find your pulse, find a pressure point or a pulse point like on your wrist, next to your neck. If you'll feel there's a little indentation in your neck before you get from your earlobe down to your throat. If you'll run your fingers there along the side of your neck, you can find the little indentation, and you can press with your fingers there and feel your pulse. If all else fails, then just put your hand over your heart and feel it through your chest. Okay, so you're going to take your pulse at rest before you do the exercise or before you use the weights. So this is just you under normal conditions at rest. You do this by counting how many beats your heart beats for 15 seconds. So you would use your timer to time 15 seconds, and while the timer was going, you would count your heartbeats. And then when you get your heartbeats for 15 seconds, you simply multiply that by 4, and that will give you your pulse rate for 1 minute. Okay, and then step 2, you will then do 3 trials of your exercise or 3 trials of you carrying the weights. For each trial, you're going to do the exercise or carry the weights for 3 minutes. You're going to carry them around, or you're going to do the exercise for 3 minutes straight. And then immediately when stopping those 3 minutes, again, take your pulse for 15 seconds and multiply by 4. You're going to record your data on your data table. You're going to rest for 5 minutes, and then you're going to repeat this 2 more times. Remember to rest each time in between so that your heart rate can get down a little bit again before you do the next trial. Okay, here is your data table. Depending on whatever your variables are, it doesn't matter if it's exercise or weights, you have a spot to put your pulse rates or beats per minute on the data table. So here's a spot for you to put your at-rest pulse rate, your pulse rate after trial 1, your pulse rate after trial 2, your pulse rate after trial 3. To get the average of your 3 trials, you add just your 3 trials data together, divide by 3, and that'll give you your average. Don't include your at-rest or control in your average. Just use the 3 trials, divide by 3, and to get your average. Okay, after you have completed this, you have some analysis questions. It's okay if you don't have a partner to help you do this. You don't have to have a partner. But if you did your lab with a partner, how did your heart rate compare to theirs? So you can answer number 2 if you did this with a partner. Okay, then when you write your conclusion, make sure your paragraph explains how the exercise or the carrying of extra weight affected your heart rate, and use some of the data from your data table as evidence. If you have any questions, please make sure you contact me. I'll be glad to help you. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you have fun doing your lab.